Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday morning. I had every intention. Every night it's a different excuse for me, isn't it? I'm just an excuse master. You'll like the one today, though. Um, I had a dryer vent hose completely clogged. Terrible, right? So I got to go down to my crawl space. Now, anybody that knows me, you know that there's not much that I'm like squeamish about, really. But my crawl space. It ever since I saw the the green bottle blue tarantula down there, I've been terrified of going down there. Now I don't know if any of you have ever seen this tarantula, and I think I've spoken about it before. This is a crazy ass looking tarantula. I've never seen anything like this before. This thing. Let me see if I can find a picture of one. This is what was down in my crawl space under my house. All right, if I can find a picture of this son of a bitch, but it terrified the hell out of me. I had to lift the crawl space to access it, and I had to go down there, and I don't remember what I was doing. I was doing something with the furnace, I believe. This thing is. It looks like if there was a Denver Bronco tarantula, this is what it would be looking like. Okay. Oh God, there's a picture of it. I mean, I wasn't tripping when I saw this thing. This thing was in my basement, and I think one of the neighborhood kids had one as a pet, and it got out, and and that's where it ended up, was in my. So after that, here, I'm gonna pull up a picture of this thing. You guys can take a look at it. This thing is terrifying, right? Look at this thing. You see that? Okay, I'm sitting there. I'm messing around with the furnace, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something moving fast, and I turn around, and it stops, and it's looking right at me with this big tarantula. The thing is huge. I mean, it's like the size of a. I mean, seriously, humongous, and it's booking. And when I turn and look at it, it like looks at me, and I thought, oh my God, I'm having a fucking acid flashback or something here. And I look at it and I point at it and I just go, no. And it runs across the floor, and I've got a bunch of tubs down there. One of them, which is full of like holiday decorations, right? This thing scampers up the side of this Rubbermaid tub, and it's got the sides like clamped down on, right? Not clamped, but it's snapped in. It runs up the side of that thing, and it goes up and flops right in there, okay? It's in the box of the decorations, and I'm just like, I'm doubting what I saw. I did never even think in any way. I never thought that there was a such thing as that. Blue and orange. I mean, it looked like a Boise State Bronco slash Denver Bronco looking tarantula. I mean, one of those teams ought to get that thing as their mascot. I mean, so I come upstairs, right? I don't say anything because I don't want everybody, I don't want anybody to think I'm crazy. So I keep real quiet about it. I get on the computer and I just look up blue and orange tarantula, and the same goddamn thing comes up, right? So this was maybe 3, 4 years ago. And ever since then, I've been terrified. Every time I got to go down there, I'm wondering if I'm going to run into this motherfucker. And like I said, I think some kid must have had it up the street for a science experiment. Supposedly, they're a great pet after I did some research on it. But they're super quick. I've never seen a spider move like that. I mean, especially that size. I'd never seen a spider that big. So today, I've got this dryer vent hose, and it's not been working right. There's been lint blowing out the back of the dryer, and so I got to pop the hatch and go down there and see what's going on, because my dryer vent runs out the back of the dryer. Obviously, like every dryer, it drops down in the crawl space, and then it runs underneath the laundry room to the outside of the house. So I crawl down there, and I see that there's a couple places where the thing's been put together all willy nilly. It's fallen apart. The vent hose had come off the the attachment that goes out to the brick. But then there's also another vent when I go outside. So there's two vents. So I look under the one vent, and all it is it's just the vent plate to look like a vent, but there's like no flap. and there's no like mesh wire or anything to keep anything out, right? So I mean, things could be just going in there and just all loosey goosey whenever they want. And so I get down there and I'm looking around where I've got to go over the furnace to hook this thing back up, and it's just full of spiders and spider webs and shit. So I got to get the shop back, and mind you, this is about a 4 foot tall crawl space. And so I'm down there and I'm sucking up everything that I can just so I can, you know, put my hand up in there and put that thing back on. And then not only that, I got to get up there and get up in there and in between the floor joists and tighten the hose clamp on it to make sure it doesn't fly back off. And then I got to do the other, I got to connect the other part because it did look like there'd been almost a lint fire because all the lint backed up, right? So I get that all connected. I go back upstairs. I go out to my trailer, and I get out my my cordless leaf blower, and I'm up in the laundry room at the end of the hose, and I start blowing all this shit out, and I mean it's just flying out like crazy, right? And I'm like, holy shit! And I hadn't had the hot water turned on in quite some time because the old valve was leaking, and I don't ever use hot water to do laundry anyways. You know. I mean, we're dudes. We just, throw it in there, wash it up, right? But I'm thinking, okay, I got the lid off. Let's see what we can do. So I'm trying to remember the scenario. I'm like, did I turn the hot water off? Did I not turn that? How did I do? But and so I hooked the washer back up and I turned the hot water, and it starts running. But then the valve starts leaking, and I'm like, shit. So I closed the valve. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, the water main is all the way up at the front of the house, which means I've got to crawl, and it gets successfully smaller as you go up to the front of the house. So it's bad enough when it's at 4 feet and I'm crouched down. I'm not a big, huge, tall dude. I'm 6 feet tall. But when you're talking about walking, when it gets down to like 3 feet tall, and everything's spider webs and you can't see, it's dark. I don't have a light back there. I've not been back there to that part of the house since my water heater went out like years ago. And so I think, okay, I'll go on top of my water heater and I'll just close off the cold water intake. Well, that valve is so old that I go to close it, finally break it free. Well, it's so calcified that it just starts leaking everywhere. And so I just open it all the way back up, but then I got a slow drip on it. So I'm like, shit. And so, of course, my mind goes to, fuck, I got to go all the way up to the front of the house. I go outside, I look around, and I realize, shit, Wyoming, we don't have outside shutoff valves. It gets too cold, the frost layer goes down too deep. So everybody has got their water meter is on the inside of the house. Where it's not going to freeze, and that's where your shutoff valve is. And so mine's all the way up front. And I'm just thinking about that fucking spider, I'm thinking, fuck, if I run in that son of a bitch. And so I sit down for a minute, I get myself amped up, I'm like psyched myself out. I'm like, it's okay, just go down there and just fucking do it, So I finally get up and I just fucking do it. And I go down there with my flashlight, and I look down and I see this dead animal. And I look up on the far side of and there's nothing that's stored there. Like when you go right down the hatch under the laundry room, there's a lot of boxes of shit right there, cans of paint, a lot of old stuff. But it's all just centralized right there. It doesn't go all the way to the front of the house by any means. So I start making my way, right? And I'm kind of moving as quick as I can, but I'm hunched over. And I look down and I see this dead animal. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that? And I look at it with the flash. It's a dead fucking rat. Now, it's been dead for a while. But this thing's big. I'm talking like, without the tail, this son of a bitch is almost a foot long. It's a big rat. I mean, I've seen some big rats. This one was big. Like the first year I was up at Mountain Hood, we had one that I ended up killing, and that thing was about the same size. And so I'm like, oh, shit. But it's been dead. It's flattened out. It's like flat like a pancake, right? It's just fur and bones. That's it. That's all that's left of it. And I'm like, shit. So I keep going. I look, and there's another one, and another one, and I'm just at this point. I'm like, oh, fucking son of a. And I'm looking, and on that side of the house, there is cardboard, there's decorations, there's shit from all the boxes down there. It's strewn everywhere. These motherfuckers have been down there dragging shit. Like, I'm talking full box, like big ass boxes. They've drugged to the other side of the house. And I'm looking around going, what the fuck? And I keep seeing these motherfuckers. I don't know what killed them. I put decon up in my crawl space, up the attic space. And I had decon out in my garage. So I don't know if they were coming and going out of that one hole that didn't have anything. I mean, that's obviously where they had to have been coming and going from. But then when I got behind the dryer too, I realized that there was and I got to build something for that tomorrow to seal it off because it wasn't very well sealed. So I go down there, I make it through, I turn the water off, I come back up, I go to remove the valve. The valve's been on there so long. The house was built in 1977. So I go to remove it with a pipe wrench, and what do? I snap off the copper pipe, twist it all up. So I got to go get the fucking Sawzall with a metal blade and cut that off. And I was so upset with the fucking rat thing that I took a break and I went out on my dirt bike for a while because I needed to just get the fuck out and just bug out for a little bit and you know, I mean, you see these rat. I mean, a dead mouse, whatever, no big deal. Even a dead rat, okay. But I didn't even bother to look to see how many were down there because I think I saw 4, maybe 5 of them. And these things were huge. I mean, I'm not talking about like your normal, these are like New York City fucking, pack rats. That one up at Mount Hood, when I finally got it, the shit that I found up in the rafters of that it was the Midway lift shack up there where they run the Alpine slide out of. And I got up there after we fucking, people have been trying to kill that thing for years. Guys would bring their guns up and shoot. There was holes in the fucking walls of this thing. It was kind of like almost a garage in the middle of the mountain because we had, I don't know how many sleds in there for the Alpine slide. And so I started crawling around in there and looking in the rafters and shit. And that fucking rat, he was able to, I would leave a thing of peanut butter and jelly up there because sometimes I wouldn't get a lunch break. And so a lot of times I'd just leave a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter and jelly up there just so I'd have something to eat. Because on a busy day, I could give everybody a break, but nobody could do the job that I did, not bragging about it or anything. But, they call me the Midway Monster for a reason. When you're sitting there, every chair has 2 25-pound sleds on it, and you got 2 people to get off that thing, hold the safety bar, pull the sleds, throw them down the conveyor, direct the people, and then turn around and do it again over and over and over and over and over and over. It's pretty taxing. And there wasn't really anybody that could handle it. So if there wasn't 2 people to break me, then I just stayed up there, And this rat, though, anyhow, I'd come up there some more, there was a couple times. And I quit leaving my peanut butter because this son of a bitch could open the peanut butter. I'd get up there and my peanut butter jar would be laying there on the workbench. And I'd look in the thing and there'd be these rat claw marks through there. He'd sit there and I could just see him, big fat ass sitting there just eating my peanut butter, And then, of course, I'm not going to eat the peanut butter after the rat's been in it, so I got to throw the whole jar away. He'd get in my bread. He'd eat my bread. I got up in those rafters. I found everything from weed pipes to, spare parts, screwdrivers, ratchets, sockets, you name it. Because we had to keep those sleds all in good shape. We just called it teching. So if you ever had any downtime up there, you'd go, we'd take the broke down sleds and put them in one pile, and you'd start going through them and figure out, do they need new runners, new brakes, new wheels? What do they need? New brake handle. Because we had to keep them all running. So anyway, these rats, they were nearly the same size as that one up there. So these are formidable sized rats. And they apparently were under my house. And I had no idea. And there's been weird smells and stuff. And so I'm like, what the hell is that? I think I found out. So anyway, I go down there. I turn the water off. Come back up. Go for a bike ride. Come back. And I've got the valve to replace the one, right? But I cracked the water heater, so it's dripping. So I gotta fix that one too. And like I said, I grabbed the pipe wrench, and then I it was on there so bad, so rusted on and shit that, not rusted, but just calcified and shit. I mean, it'd been on there since '77. So I'm reefing on it with a pipe wrench. I'm thinking, don't bend that copper pipe, don't bend that copper pipe, and I'm still trying to reef, and all of a sudden it just goes, shit, cut it off. At that point, it's like 5 minutes till Tractor Supply closes. Last place open in town to get anything. So I would go running out there. And at that point, all I could find out there that would work was just a stopgap. This one was push on, not a shark bite, but a pro bite. Thing worked well. I push it on there, but it doesn't go quite far enough because I didn't cut out enough of the drywall to be able to push it on. So I think I've got it on. I go back down through the fucking rat graveyard, turn the water on, come back out the rat hole, thing's spraying water all over. Son of a bitch. Back down I go, past all the rat graveyard, turn it off again, come up and sit there and think, what the hell am I going to do? I'm looking through parts. I mean, I've got a parts bin out in my garage. I've got parts all over my trailer. I've got different valves and this and that for everything. I can't find anything that's going to work. I find one thing that might work. And I'm thinking, God, if I just bought that stupid cap thing and it doesn't, so I cut out more of the drywall, grab my channel locks, and I push the thing down, and it slides like an extra eighth of an inch, and the thing seems like it came secure. Go down there, turn the water back on. It's not leaking up there. But I'm sitting there, and I hear this. Look underneath. Come to find out, the first time I tried to put the thing on, because the pipe wasn't strapped down to the floor joist, I broke the solder joint on the 90 underneath the hot water. So I got a bucket under it right now, and it's catching the water. And tomorrow, I get to go back down in rat hell and cut out that solder joint, that 90, and I'm going to go find a 90-degree, whatever they call it, a pro bite, or a shark bite. But I think the pro bites are better. They're warranted for 75 years. Shark bites are warranted for 25. But once I pushed it out on there all the way, it worked. So, hey, anybody out there, if you're a plumbing novice or whatever, and you don't know how to solder a joint, and you got to fix something, go with the pro bite or a shark bite. I mean, they both work. But the one's a 75-year warranty, and it's cheaper, and it seems to be about the same. And they're easy to remove. You can put them on and off if you have the right little tool. So, that's why I didn't go on at 10. Because I was down there cussing and screaming and yelling and throwing things, and just pissed off at my lot in life that I'm down there with all these fucking dead rats, and I'm not in any way geared up or suited to even try and dispose of them. They're still laying down there. I don't know what I think I have to hire. I'm gonna hire somebody to go down there. I don't like dealing with spiders, rats, that big blue and orange son of a bitch right there. I mean, come on, man. What would you do if you saw that thing? You tell me. You tell me what you'd do. I mean, here's some more pictures. There's all kinds of pictures of this guy. I mean, he is absolutely terrifying. And then when you don't even know that such a thing exists, like, I mean, I didn't know that there was something like that out there. I had no clue. I mean, I was like, what in the world is this bullshit? So there's my spider story. I don't know. I got a few of them. Another one happened up at Mount Hood. Oh, God. That was a bad one. My buddy got bit by a brown recluse and didn't tell anybody. And he kept wearing, like, long sleeves to work, And I was like, hey, Baker, what's going on, man? What's up with you? What's up with the, I was like, it's hot out here now, man. What are you doing, And he goes, don't tell anybody, and he shows me his arm, he pulls up his sleeve and his elbow. I mean, there's this big, just hole. Like, I don't know if any of you ever seen a brown recluse bite. It's pretty nasty if you don't get attention for it, right? And, I mean, we hadn't even opened the mountain yet. We've been working on that alpine slide, and, you have to pull each track piece out, fix it. And we pulled one apart, and there was just brown recluse all over. I mean, hundreds of them. And one had obviously got on him and bit him. And he didn't want to tell anybody because he didn't want to lose his job. but he damn near lost his arm, and he damn near probably lost his life. But I grabbed him at that point in time, and I was like, dude, we're going down the hill to the clinic, and I took him down there. I just left work, and my boss was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "No." I said, "I'll tell you when I get back." I said, "We got to go." Took him down there, and he got the attention that he needed, but he still had a big old chunk of meat missing, like right out of his elbow. I mean, it was terrible. It was nasty. You don't mess around with them spider bites. You think you got bit by something, then get in there and get it checked out. You know what I mean? That's my advice, I guess. I mean, a brown recluse bite can be, there's 2 spiders that can be fatal. I mean, you can get bit by certain spiders and you might have a nasty bite, but, a brown recluse can kill you, and a black widow can kill you, and you don't want to mess with either one of them. You do not want to mess with either one. I mean, that one, that brown recluse, I mean, it literally eats the tissue and leaves a hole. And if you don't get attention on that thing, boy, it can get really bad, really bad. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen one of them. But I mean, it literally decomposes your flesh. They're nasty. They are nasty, nasty little things. I mean, I'm looking at some images here. Some of these, I'm not even going to show them. Some of these are just nasty. And a black widow, I mean, those, you don't want to mess with them either. But I mean, like a daddy long leg, even the cat-faced spider, those are ugly as hell. I don't like them. I mush them whenever I see them, but I mean, they're not really going to do much to you. I should probably leave them be, because I'm sure they do a lot more better than, they probably do good, getting rid of stuff. I mean, hopefully they eat, like, I don't know, wasps and shit like that. I mushed one a couple years ago. God, that thing was so big. They're so ugly. They're just nasty. I mean, there's people holding these the people putting these motherfuckers in their hands. Ooh, good Lord. You gotta be kidding me. That's gotta be fake. Oh, that is a patch. Okay. I was going to say, that can't even be real. Yeah, some of these things are just gnarly. I said there's 38,000 different species of spiders. I think is what a guy was saying earlier today. And I don't even think the cat face, that when you're looking at it and you see the cat face, I think that's just the ass end of it. I don't know. They're gnarly looking. They are gnarly looking creatures. I mean, just weird stuff. Anyway, so that was my day, playing around with spiders and dead rats, and at least I didn't see any big live rats. At least, hopefully, when I realized there was dead ones, every time I go down, I'd start yelling. So hopefully I gave them enough warning to get the hell out of the way. Another one that's bad is the wolf spider. Those things are terrifying looking. Anybody ever seen one of them? Whew. I mean, those things are bad news. Yeah. Anyway, enough on the spiders. Oh, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah, okay. Here's another one I've been meaning to address, okay? Let me just get my cards out here. We got, there's a term that's been going around recently, Banana Republic, and if you're a child of the 80s like me, then you think of the clothing. And then you go, and you think, well, where'd that come from? And I've been thinking about that, and I've thrown that term out there a number of times recently. And I thought, well, I want to look up and see exactly, well, okay, what is the definition? And there was a gentleman named O. Henry, who wrote a book in 1901, and it was called Cabbages and Kings, I believe was the name of it, if I remember right. But he had a made-up country that was basically modeled after Nicaragua, and he called it the Banana Republic because Nicaragua relied on their banana export, and the United States, we basically ran that business, right? Like we do with any place that's got something that we want, something that's valuable. We go in there and we, jump on board, take over it, whatever, make it work for us. So he wrote this book, and it started to become a more more widely used term So I was looking up what the definition is, and I'm going to go through these, and you tell me what you think. If the United States is a banana republic, these are the 10 things that I found online, and the first one was widespread government corruption. Okay, I'd say we're there. A tyrannical government. Yep, I'd say we're there. Unstable government. Also can't argue with that one. Coup attempts and insurgency. Yep, okay. Economic dependency on exports of a resource that, how did they phrase it? A resource that's in demand, I guess. What are we doing? We have oil prices through the roof, but yet we're still exporting oil. Dingus opens up our reserves, and we immediately send it overseas. That did a lot of good. Why did we have a strategic reserve? You're just going to send it over to China, asshole. Infrastructure is owned and supported by foreign interests. Yeah. Widespread poverty. The stratification of social classes, right? Which that encompasses big gaps between the haves and the have-nots. Told me we don't have that going on. And then the last one was a lack of a middle class. Well, they're trying to eliminate the middle class. They really, I mean, that's the idea here. You know, these people do not want a middle class. They want to have, you know, the upper percent, and then they want to have the impoverished, and that makes, you know, it makes it real easy for the upper class to control. You know. And it makes it real easy for the, you know, the lower class just to, you know, the poor class to just kind of sink into despair and give up, and, you know. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up because, I don't know, let me know what you think if we have a banana republic or not. I would say that almost every single one of those items right there, I could make arguments for. That, in fact, that's something that's going on. Every single one of them. You know, are we going to fix it or not? How do we fix it? I've laid out the things I think about it. However, I don't have a complete plan. The one person I think that probably had the closest plan to being able to do something like this was Jacques Fresco with the Venus Project. And if any of you people are interested in the idea of a resource-based economy where everybody has not only what they need but what they want, you know, and everybody goes, well, that could never work. Well, it can't. You're right. It can't work under the capitalism model. There's no way. It's got to be a complete paradigm thought shift. Everything's got to, you know, everything's going to have to be broken down, and things are going to have to change. You know, I mean, you're going to have to look at, you know, it's going to be more of a barter and trade type thing, which I don't find a problem with that. You know, there's abundance on this planet. There's enough. There's enough for all of us. But when you have just a certain portion of people that have it all, and then people that have nothing. I mean, I was watching this thing. Oh, God, was it? I don't know if it was Nigeria or it was one of the African countries. I think it was in Nigeria. It was terrible. I mean, it just absolutely horrible. I mean, these people are living, you know, in sewer, like they're living on these like pylons, right? With these water houses, but the water is all sewage. It's just raw sewage, and they swim in it. And they've been in it so long that they've got a incredibly high immunity to all the disease. I mean, can you imagine living in sewer water all day? Oh, God. Just horrible. And then there was another one I was watching, and you know, there's all these kids and stuff in this, and it's a garbage dump, and they sell garbage, and every one of them has a bottle, and they're constantly like putting it over their face, and it's full of glue. They just huff glue all day. Life is that bad. And they get asked why they do it, and it's like, well, because it's just like that's the only thing that can keep their mind off the fact that that's what they're living in, you know. So I guess we think we got it bad. I mean, it could be worse. It could be worse. you know? Could be worse. Speaking of Nigeria, I don't know if anybody pays attention to the scammers out there, but here's a little project I'm working on. And it'll be funny when it comes out, but it's not even close to being ready. But I've been getting hit with a lot of those Instagram follows, and they're always a female's name with a good-looking female photo. But then I'll look at the profile. They got like, they got like no followers. They got no posts. They'll have like one post, which is the picture that got sent to you, right? I always get a kick out. I can always tell right away anyhow. I mean, but what I noticed as well, what's kind of crazy about this is like a lot of the guys that I was locked up with, like say I'll look on one of these profiles, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and I'll see like mutual friends, and it'll be somebody that I was in with, right? So it'll be like a guy that's been down for like 10, 15, 20 years, went in, didn't even know nothing, came out after all that time. The world was different, got a smartphone, and if you're on probation or you're in a halfway house or whatever you got going on when you first get out, you're just trying to make sure that you're doing right, that you're doing everything that you need to be doing. And so you're steering clear of all your old friends and shit. And like a lot of times, like for me personally, I can tell you this, my interaction was completely through social media when I first got out. And I fell prey to this thing a couple of times. Now, I never made any contact with any of these type of people. But when you just get out and you've got, a picture of a super hot girl sending you like a friend invite or whatever, you're like, oh damn, man, yeah. And so you click the thing, and then I looked into it real quick and realized, oh shit, I could never figure out what their scam was because I never answered back on all the messages too. So anyway, the other night I'm thinking, you know what? These are scammers. I'm like, these are all just scammers. These are probably 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids, maybe. I didn't know. I said, but you know what? I'm gonna play around with this. I'm gonna accept all these friend invites. And so I went through and I accepted about 30 or 40 of them. And of course, instantly, my IG starts going off. And it's all the same message. Hey, how are you? With like a heart or something like that. And I didn't respond to them. But what I did do I started doing a reverse lookup on these things. And the majority of them are coming from Nigeria. And so I started looking up scams. And come to find out that most of the scams are coming from Nigeria, India, Malaysia, areas like that. But these people are stupid. Like, they don't understand how to, they don't know how to mask their IP address. So I was able to find out, like, where exactly they were coming from. I mean, and I wanted to respond, but I'm not going to yet. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some games, I run everything on a VPN, and for those of you who don't know, it's a virtual private network, right? So your computer, everybody knows this. I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff. So I'm just sitting here telling you all, things that you already know. But for those of you that don't, I'd recommend you get one, because what it does is it just masks your IP address. It puts you through a different, routes you through a different server. It's just like when you get on a tour or something like that. So, I was using IPVanish, and I switched over to a new antivirus / VPN, and they've been pretty good so far. It's called Clario. So you might want to check it out. I mean, you can get a pretty good deal. Like, I was paying like $15 a month for IPVanish, and I didn't get the virus, the virus protection and all that. Clario, I think since it just came out, it was like $35 for a year. So, and they got the VPN, and they seem to be good. I mean, I don't have any complaints about them at all. And they've got a really good support. If you got problems, you just get on their chat, and somebody hits you back up. So, anyway, with that in mind, that was something else that I was planning on doing today, but I got sidetracked with the rat cemetery in the spider hole. So, I'll get on that tomorrow. But I got a whole way I'm going to go about this. I've already got it planned out, and it's going to be pretty funny. And I'm not trying to. I don't know. I've seen a lot of guys out there, doing the scammer thing. There's one cat out there. He is good. This dude is good. I don't know how he does it. I've been trying to figure out how he does it. I think he's got some insiders in some of these places. I don't know, but he gets these guys, these Indians, in these call centers, and he's got a voice changer, and so he does this old lady voice, and he just strings them along. Oh my God! And then the funny thing is that once he lets on, like he'll change the voice, and then come at him once the shit's hit the fan. And these dudes will start screaming like obscenities at him, talking about like, doing sexual acts with his mother and this. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, dude, you're the one scamming this dude. It's like he fooled you, made you think he was an old lady. I mean, I got no love for anybody that tries to scam, the elderly. I mean, come on. That shit pisses me off. I mean, when I got out, my grandmother was in the assisted living home, and I talked to her at one point, and she told me, she goes, "Are you doing okay?" She goes, "I got a call from somebody last night, and they said it was you and that you were in trouble and that you needed money." And I said, "Grandma," I said, "anybody ever calls saying that to you, saying they're me?" I said, "Just hang up." I said, "Even if I was in trouble and I needed money, you'd be the last person that I would call, It's like, but that's what they do. They take advantage of the elderly and shit. And then that's funny when they think that they got, like, this guy would act like they would tell him to go to the store, and they do the classic, go get a gift card, go get $500 gift cards, or they'd say, go to your bank and make a transfer. And he'd be going through this voice changer, sounding like an old lady, and he'd act like he was in his car, and and then, just do something to throw him for a loop, hang up on him or whatever, and then call him back. And I mean, and then he would, in the meantime, though, while he's scamming them, or they think they're scamming him. In the meantime, what he's doing is he's taking over control of their computer. So he's getting all their files and stuff, and like he's downloading, like he's taking their files from them. And sometimes he's drained their accounts and everything else. And I mean, there's been times he's had these guys crying, like literally crying, and they're like, "Fuck you," And I mean, God, it's awesome. I'm not going to probably get into anything like quite like that, but I'm going to play the game a little bit because I want to mess with these people. I figure, what the hell? Because they play these games, they do this shit where they think that they got some like lonely dude, or they think they got some, some guy that's got some money. And then they want to play that whole, send you naked pictures and shit, and they want a picture of you. Well, I saw this dude earlier today. He sent a picture of Chris Farley dancing with, with Patrick Swayze when he was doing that stripper contest. For those of you that are not a certain age, you won't even know what I'm talking about. But this dude kept sending pictures of Chris Farley, like with no shirt on, and this woman, quote unquote, who was trying to get him to give her, like, I don't know what it was. I think by the time it was all said and done, it was like $500. And she was telling him that her and a friend were going to come over and, do nefarious things with him or whatever. And I mean, he was just obviously messing with him the whole time. And I don't even think for a second that there was two females on the other end of it. But so, hey, don't buy into it. If you get a friend request or anything on Instagram, Facebook, I'd stay the hell off Crap Chat if I were you. Crap Chat does a thing where if you get a Crap Chat and you open it up on your phone and you don't close out the app, what it does when you switch to a different app or a different screen is it takes a picture of you and what you're looking at, and it puts it in a secret file. And trust me, it does. I didn't believe it. But you get on a regular PC desktop, plug into that thing with your phone, and pull up the file, Crap Chat, and then go all the way down and dig into the bottom end of that thing, and there will be a file at the very bottom end, and you'll find pictures of yourself that have been taken and saved. I don't know where they go. I don't know what they're doing with them, but that's kind of disconcerting. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah. I was going to talk about the Fourth Amendment. And that gives us the right to be secure in our person, our house, our papers, and effects, against unreasonable search and seizure, basically. That means that they have to have a warrant. And that warrant has to be, it's got to be specified. It's got to be, what would you call it? What would you say? Particulated, basically. It's got to say, like, what they're coming into your home. Like, say it's a warrant on your home. What are they searching for? Where are they searching for it? What exactly are they looking for? And then, so the only thing that would fall outside of that would be, say they come in and they're looking for whatever it might be, and they look and they see that you've got, God knows what sitting on your coffee table. If it's in plain sight, you're pretty much on hit. So if you're being sloppy, then things can go bad. If they pull you over and you got a bunch of drugs laying out there in the car, or beer bottles or some shit, or you just are boozed up and smell like a goddamn, wino, then they got probable cause. So that's basically what it all comes down to, is the probable cause. And so the Fourth Amendment, it's supposed to protect us from unreasonable searches and seizures. Now, the way I used to phrase this thing, and I've used it a couple of times, not recently, but back in the day, if law enforcement was trying to search my vehicle or search me, and they didn't have probable cause, I'd say, listen, sir, in no way do I consent to any search or seizure of my person or my property, and if you continue forth in such a manner, I will press charges against you to the fullest extent of the law. And sometimes that would deter them, and sometimes I'd get you some kind of smart guy, and then sometimes I'd say, well, smarter than you, and then wham, bang, boom, in the back seat of the cop car. But, sometimes it would, it would deter them. And, if you carry an attorney's card, that's a good thing to have on you, And a lot of those guys have the Fourth Amendment on the back of the card. I know a good friend of mine that does that. So these are things that are important to know, that you do have rights. And you might get run over, but the thing is that most law enforcement have a body cam, dash cam. And if that's being recorded and something is going on, and you get jammed up over, something that's not right, then there's proof of it. And if you state that and they continue forth, you got a case, unless you're in a banana republic or a kangaroo court, which a lot of these places are, which leads me down to the whole thing with Trump. This keeps going on and on and on. But this is something I found out today, and I've found out a lot of this info through Jimmy Dore. And if you guys haven't checked him out, he puts on a great show. But that raid that they pulled down at Mar-a-Lago, that was 9 hours, 30 agents. Now, do you know who a lot of these agents were? One was named Brian Otten. All right. Brian Otten. Okay. He was one of them that was behind Russiagate big time. Okay. He vetted the Steele dossier, which I know some of you out there still think that the Russian collusion thing with Trump was real. Well, it was a hoax. Okay. It's been proven to be a hoax. Some people still believe that it's something that's out there, like Stephen Colbert and Rachel Maddow, right? They still think it's a thing. And some of the people I know still think it's a thing. But it was proven not to be, even the P tapes, all that shit, it was made up. It was paid for by Hillary Clinton. It's been proven. 3 years of the guy that told us there were WMDs, and he comes out and says, well, there wasn't collusion, but there wasn't collusion. Huh? Either there is or there isn't there, Bob Mueller. So anyway, come to find out, a bunch of these agents, including this Brian Otten, another guy whose last name I believe is Bratt, B-R-A-T-T. These are people that are still under investigation for the Russiagate thing, okay? They're under 2 investigations from the FBI. Yet the FBI is still letting them work on cases against Trump. Okay, they're under investigation for what they did previous to this, what they did twice. And these are the people that are showing up to search his place with a search warrant that is as broadband. It basically said that they could look for anything. And one of the agents said it didn't matter if it was considered classified or not. So they've changed the story daily. You know, one day it's nuclear secrets, the next day it's this, the next day it's that, the next day it's the other thing. I mean, it shows you right there. I mean, if that's not corruption, what is? Think about this. Would you be able to keep doing your job if you were under investigation and what you were being investigated for involves something that you're currently working on? No. This doesn't make any sense. And these are all cats out of D.C. They tried to make it sound like this was a Miami FBI-based deal out of Miami, right? Out of like an FBI station in southern Florida. No. These are the same cats that were involved in that Crossfire Hurricane was the name of the operation that was gonna, the walls were closing in. Rachel Maddow every night told the walls are closing in. She's rubbing her hand, Stephen Colbert's over there jerking himself off in the corner. Keith Olbermann's doing the same, giving himself a verbal ball washing. I mean, these people suck. They suck. I mean, it's been targeted at Trump, and I mean, look at what Sam Harris came out and said yesterday. Sam Harris. I mean, I thought he was I respected him until then. I mean, he said he didn't care what the circumstances were with Trump, that whatever they had to do to just keep him out, he didn't give a shit about ethics or anything. He doesn't even care. I just kind of shook my head and went, wow, Sam Harris, damn, dude, that sucks. I mean, that does suck, because I used to like listening to him, and, I liked hearing him on Joe Rogan. He'd been on Lex Friedman a few times, and, I mean, I'm not saying he's a very intelligent dude, but the shit that I don't know what was wrong with him. To say the things that he said yesterday was pretty bad stuff, but it is what it is. Doesn't matter. And then in the meantime, we got a president that's like MIA. Where is he? He gets the Rona and disappears for a couple weeks. Not a couple weeks. Disappears. Comes back for a couple days. Gets the Rona again. Gone. Flies back in to sign this is the Chips and Science Act. Okay, it's not the Inflation Reduction Act. I've been calling it the Inflation Inflammation Act, which is all it's going to do. This thing is not set up to do anything for inflation. The CEO of Walmart came out today and was talking about the fact that we just better get used to it, because this is the way it's going to be. It's going to be like this, and that puts us in that throws us back into that whole banana republic thing. I mean, the United States has gone from being, the most prosperous nation on the planet to being the laughingstock of the planet, number one. I mean, there's nobody out there that's like not laughing at us right now. I mean, I guarantee, somebody from, overseas, any other countries that knows anything about what's going on in the world, and you ask them what they think about it, they're going to laugh at us. They're going to go, geez, you guys really, you dropped the fucking ball on this one, you boneheads. And we're stupid. And it just keeps getting worse. And anybody who fools themselves into thinking that humanity is all of a sudden going to have some uptick and just snap to and get it together, you're out of your minds. I mean, we have just a straight bunch of morons that are, I mean, they're out there just willy-nilly. Whether they be politicians, our college students are absolutely just, except for a few of them, young people are just absolutely terrifying. The only one I can think of that, Jackson Hinkle, but he's being demonized and he's been demonetized by YouTube. He's basically been kicked off of Venmo, PayPal. I mean, and he's just telling, and he's speaking the truth. He's been really on top of the whole thing with Ukraine. Now, where'd Ukraine go? All of a sudden, we're just at odds with Zelensky. He went from being this huge hero to, now we're realizing what's going on, I think. And, I mean, where'd all that go? I mean, that was all it just changes so often. And that's what's funny is that our attention span, I mean, it's like that of a guppy, It's got to be something new every day. And the media knows that because the media is run by the corporations and they got to keep pulling your string, just like a fucking sock puppet, Maybe not a sock puppet, but whatever those puppets are, you pull a string on, or they stick their hand up your ass and run your mouth like a sock puppet. I mean, it's getting bad. It's getting worse by the day. It's just something new every day. Something more astounding, something more obnoxious, something just, oh my, and everybody just freaks out about it. Everybody freaks out and loses it, I mean, you've got these people that are so worried about Trump, but they don't want Biden in the next election. So who? I got it. How about nobody? How about nobody for Congress? How about nobody for the Senate? How about nobody for president? That'd be good. How about nobody? We'd do a lot better, wouldn't we? I know I would. What do the politicians do? I mean, all they want to do is put out 87,000 more IRS agents to, steal from you. Because if you don't think taxation is theft, then you're a nitwit. I mean, if taxation was such a good thing, then you would gladly, when you got your paycheck in full, go, put it in the bank, and then you'd go home and you'd figure out what you owed, and you'd write a check and you'd send it off if you thought it was such a good thing. That's why they just take it from you. That's why it's just stolen from you. It's just taken from you. You don't have a choice. Your Social Security, taken from you. You can't opt out. You can't opt out. Anything you can't opt out of, nah. That ain't right. It's not right. Period. Especially when it comes to money that you earn. You go out there and you put in the sweat. You put in the hard work. That's yours. If paying your taxes was such a good thing, you'd just voluntarily do it. Wouldn't you? Well, everybody's got to pay their taxes. And where's it go? What's it being spent on? I mean, look what's in this bill. Look what was in the last one. Pakistani gender studies was part of the last big one, the 1.9 trillion. 1.9 trillion. Pakistani gender studies. It's interesting. We should be paying for that. What else was in that one? Oh, there was money for the Egyptian army, Egyptian military. There was money in there for ICBM missiles in Israel. I mean, are you cool with that? With your taxes being forked out on that? Yet none of this money goes for homelessness. It's not going to education. It's not going to vocational schools, vocational training. I mean, it's not going to making sure that people have medical care in this country. Instead, we have 550-some thousand homeless people, and that's just the number they come up with. I would estimate it's probably going to be higher than that, if you were to be honest. How many of those people are even involved in anything to do with the census? You could probably push the number up to 1 million, I would say. I mean, that's just a guess. But how many homeless people have anything to do with the census? I mean, these are people that have been off the grid, and I mean, if you're homeless, then how are they going to figure out who you are? How many of you are there? I mean, come on, get out of here. Fucking Skid Row in L.A. spans what? Fucking 80-some blocks now? It's crazy. The shit going on in the cities is nuts. I mean, I watch some of this shit, people fucking beating the shit out of little old ladies. That dude that was a sex offender comes out and smashes that guy that's not even looking at him. This isn't like they just got in an argument and the dude fucking swings on him. This dude's not even looking at this motherfucker, and he smashes him. The guy's in the hospital. He fractured his skull. He's gonna have all kinds of problems. And they take this dude, and initially they charge him with attempted murder, and then they drop it down to a misdemeanor, and they release him. This guy's a rapist. He's a rapo. And he's been charged with all sorts of other felonies too. They release him. And then it comes back on that stupid ass governor from New York, and they decide to go get him again. How do you take something like that when you watch that footage and you just take that to a misdemeanor? That dude brained that guy. That guy's probably never going to be right again. And I don't know anything about that poor gentleman. You know? I mean, I don't know if, he's married, got kids, whatever. I mean, that dude just out of nowhere. You tell me like that somebody like that needs to be on the street. And that's what we're doing in this country. But then if you're a parent that speaks out at a school board meeting because you don't like the idea of CRT, or you don't like like the one guy, Scott Smith, whose daughter was raped in a girl's bathroom and it was all blown under the table by a boy dressed up as a woman. And what they do, they sent the boy to a different school, and he did it to another female. Now, I know we can't even define what a woman is anymore. I understand that. I know that nobody can do that. Everybody's all of a sudden, I don't know, out in the pasture, wandering around the weeds. I mean, Supreme Court justice can't define what a woman is. I still can. And you want to play dress up and whatever and say that you're not, a man, and that's fine, whatever. I'll call Caitlyn Jenner, I don't care, But to say that you can't define a woman, I mean, just, I just always think back to that smarmy individual that was testifying, and they asked her if men could get pregnant and have abortions. Yes. No. Sorry. Not sorry. I mean, and then here's the thing too, is all this information that everybody was getting banned for. There's been no apology issued by YouTube to anybody who got banned, who got shadow banned. I'm still going through that. If you don't subscribe to my channel, you're not going to get my show. So if you like anything on here at all, please give it the like button. Please subscribe. There's no obligation whatsoever. But if you want to see when the show comes on, and I'm still trying to get to the point where I can do this every night at 10 o'clock Mountain Time. I am very much trying to do that, but when you got to sit down there in the Valley of Dead Rats and try and get your water back on, I mean, I'm sitting there going, geez, I can't even use the bathroom at home. I can't even run any water, I finally got it fixed. Kind of. I got to go back tomorrow. In the morning, I'm going to go back in. Anybody want to come do some plumbing? I'll pay you in beer. No, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It won't take long. That's what I would say. Oh, it won't take long. I was like today. Oh, it won't take long. 8 hours later, pissed off, stomping around. God damn it. Stupid rats. No, anyway, I just find it funny that all these FBI agents that are involved in this whole thing, I mean, these are the people that were behind all this shit, Oh, and then here's the other good one. And you're not going to see this on the news anywhere, but this was 6 days ago. The CEO from Pfizer got the Rona. He's got 4 jabs and got the Rona. Thankful that he got the 4 jabs, though. And we all hope that he gets well because, if there's anybody on this planet that needs to do okay, it's anybody involved with Pfizer or, any of these big pharma companies because, they're not behind anything. They've caused no problems. I mean, the opioid crisis, and, it's just, that's the way it goes. You know, we just wish them the best. We hope that they, all the big pharma people, we just really want to see them do great. Because they just do such great things for everybody else. Ask anybody who has to buy insulin or needs an EpiPen or needs any type of medication for that matter. Ask them how much they like that. Interesting times, people. Interesting fucking times. I mean, it's just one lie after another. Whoppers, big time whoppers. And you watch the body language of all these people and you can just tell they're lying. It's like talking to your kid when you know that they're just, spinning a whopper, when you already know the truth and you give them the chance to be honest, and they're just going to sit there and just keep lying. I mean, that's what they're doing. And are we going to be dumb? We're just going to sit there and be like, oh, this is what we've done so far. We're just like, oh, well, yeah. Just wander around. I mean, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And this new bill that was signed, the $780 billion or whatever now. Good God. Think of the trillions of dollars that we spent. 20 billion of that, it eradicates homelessness. How much gives everybody medical care? And not shitty medical care, but good medical care. Like everybody gets the same, like you have a problem, you go in, you see a doctor, you get it fixed. That's where our tax money should be going. I mean, not to these stupid fucking wars that we're involved in. And we just keep managing to get ourselves in more and more and more. It's like every day is the edge of destruction. I mean, because we got to be involved in everything. Play these little games, It's all about power. It's all about power. That's all it is. And in the meantime, they don't give a shit about your kids. They don't give a shit about you. They'll happily send your kids off to die, but their kids won't. Their kids can get away with whatever they want. They can be crackhead, prostitute, fucking smuggling, fucking drug carrying, shitheads. And, the president will say that kid is the smartest person he knows. Probably because he's made you so many millions there, Joey boy. He doesn't know, though. He just wants his ice cream cone. He wants his ice cream cone and to get the hell out of the Oval Office, I think. I don't know how that guy's going to run again. I don't even know how he would possibly run against Trump. I mean, they're going to bring up all this bullshit that they're bringing on Trump right now. It's all it is. It's just bullshit. Trump invited three of those fucking, three of the FBI agents in and let them go in that room and said, look through whatever you want. He's told them straight up, release the documents. Go ahead. But then I think there's part of him that understands that, hey, he might be finding out that these guys might, plant some shit too. When we've got Peter Strzok, who's out there on the news, on the, whatever the stupid news channel is, how are they going to ask Peter? Peter Strzok got fired. Look what that guy did. He's having an affair on his wife with Lisa Page. The text messages are just atrocious. I mean, you want to talk about collusion and corruption, and then he gets on there and proceeds to tell everybody in the country how much integrity the FBI has. Yeah, ask Leonard Peltier how much integrity the FBI has. Look up his case. You can go back and look up shit for days, and you tell me about the integrity of the office there. I'm not saying that there's I'm not saying that there's not people there that are trying to do their job, but you also have to remember that I've dealt with them extensively, I'll say. So I know what they're all about. And hopefully you'll figure it out too. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. That's the choice is yours is what it comes down to. It's always about choices, I mean, red pill, blue pill, no pill. I don't know. I mean, it's time to, like I've said, it's time to walk away. That's where I'm at with it. I'm done with it. Don't care. I mean, I do care because it's what defines what's going on. But as far as throwing my hat in the ring for any of these idiots to run my life is out of the question. I know what I need to do. I know what I got to do every day. I know what I have to do. I don't need somebody telling me. I don't need somebody taking my money. I don't even need the money because it's not even real. That's the other thing. It's not real. It's all fake. It's all phony. The sooner we realize that, the better off we're going to be. It might be a hard pill to swallow. A lot of times the truth is a real motherfucker. And you don't want to hear it. Because you know what it is. But you're scared to deal with it. So you just act like it ain't there. But guess what? It is. And every day that you act like it's not there, it looms bigger and bigger, But as I said, choice is yours. I mean, we don't have to be arrogant people. We can admit we make mistakes. I do it all the time. And I'll continue to do it. I guarantee it. Because that's what I do. That's what we all do, But you see these politicians, none of them ever take ownership. They always say, the buck stops with me. No, it doesn't. You just pass it on. Pass it on. It's pass the buck. Has Biden done anything? He's done nothing but pass the buck. Everything's an excuse with that dude. He's never once said, this is my fault. It's fine. Whatever. It's your prerogative, bro. Do what you want. Go sit there in the swimming pool with your hairy legs and let little kids crawl all over you, whatever it is. Go sniff something. I don't know. Eat ice cream cone, sniff some hair. Give females weird, creepy, 15-minute hugs. Fart forever in front of the Duchess of Cornwall. The things this guy's pulled and just the cover that he's got over the whole deal is just fucking amazing. But I'll just leave it at that. I guess I've said enough. In the words of Bob Dylan, I do believe I'm going back to New York City. I do believe I've had enough. I'm not going to New York City. Definitely not going back to New York City. I'm never going to New York City, period. Not ever. Never. That is one place you will never, ever, 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 ever see me. I don't care. Not going. Negative red leader. Not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this here juncture. Anyway, with that, I'm out of here. We'll catch y'all later today since it's early morning. I hope all you fearless warriors out there, maybe you're just getting back from the bar and doing some munchies, maybe you tuned in. If you're driving, don't drink. If you're drinking, don't drive. Be good or be good at it, and all things be kind. And number 1 on the list, do no harm. All right. Peace out. Maybe.
But now, yeah, make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough.
Generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you
up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.